I've been more worried about these.
You're worried about these too.
I've been worried about this.
Maybe in some of this.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at this rust over here.
I've been worried about this.
And he still had his spring dampers up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Wow, that's impressive.
Kyle, do you know what size these jam nuts are?
They're yay big.
Hey.
People upstairs. Maybe you know.
Guess what day it is? Arm day. Tow, traction, and camber on Dave's rusty crap box. Joel, it's arm day.
Dude,
Tow, traction, and camber. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing. I think. This is more so just torque specs. What is a torque wrench? Oh, that's that Ugga Dugga thing. Normally this install, if all bolts come out and everything is smooth, 3 to 4 hours sounds about right. We've had some issues with his alignment in the past, so we'll see. Yeah, you were at a track day, right, with AMP with Matthew?
Yes.
And Matthew said from GoPro footage, even like driving behind you, it looked like your car was like...
Oh yeah, it was all over the place.
Yeah. So, arms. Why do you need arms? There's a whole product video on these things on why you would want to buy them, but quick rundown, kind of 2 cents. When you lower a car, you very quickly run out of the factory adjustment span. Like your toe is set spec rather. And then once you lower a car so much, your factory adjustment is not able to get that toe back in spec, that camber back in spec. And that's why if you're looking at coilovers on a stock car and you want to go like really low, or like you really want to get into like track days and stuff, you should definitely consider these and do it all at once. Because if you just take a 350, put on coilovers and drop it, especially front tires, you'll notice toe wear, and rears not so much, but definitely still weird alignment. You really should do this all at once. You should never take a stock car, put it on coilovers, drop it 2 inches, and then just think you're okay. You can do it, and you're gonna go through tires like no other. So he doesn't have springs in his spring buckets. It's a true style spring shock all in one. So we're going with toe arms to replace the buckets. We got traction arms because while we're there, we're gonna do all of it. And we have camber arms. And then also the traction is just set knuckle to the front of the subframe. These guys, camber and toe, have adjustment bolts you spin to move them in and out. So we're also gonna use eccentric lockout kit for the camber and for the toe. That way, there's no chance of these guys moving around on us. So let's soak in some PB for a little bit first. Let's just kind of hit everything and like let it sit for like 5 minutes before we get started. A good example to throw traction arms on. I don't know if you guys can tell kind of all in this, like that bolts, like it's all rust. Like it would be more work and hassle than it'd be worth. And we don't want to show you guys an install video and half of it be worst case scenario. We've kind of done that before with other videos. So to be completely honest, it's the same as the rest of the arms. Actually, it's easier because there's no lockout kit. So it's less components, one bolt there, one bolt there. If you guys can do the rest, the other 2 arms, you can do that. So sorry, stay tuned for a video specifically on that later. We don't want to steer you guys wrong. This is just not the right car for that. So enjoy the rest. This is lube. We needed penetrant. That smells good. Like almost fruity.
Orange.
Yeah, it smells like you're cleaning your house.
Yeah.
Like kind of mopping the floor, like some Lysol.
A little lemon pledge.
Or not Lysol. Pine Sol. That's what I was saying, Pine Sol.
We need more lemon pledge.
We really don't make as many Family Guy references as we should. Good. Like, cool. We'll let that sit for like 5-10 minutes, and then we'll cross our fingers. I think all of these are 17s. So I got a 17 mil socket on a 1/2 inch, just for a little bit. I got a little cheater bar over there that we may use, and then 17 mil wrench. There we go. And then we're replacing all these bolts and everything with the eccentric lockout. So with these, what do we say?
Throw it away.
Throw it away. Not gonna use that guy anymore. Or that guy. I don't want to hurt the floor. I'm just gonna set that one down.
No, no floor reports.
Yeah, no floor reports, please. Come out. All right, so now we'll go over here to where the arm actually connects to the knuckle. So far, so good, Dave. And now these guys you are gonna keep. Everything that goes to the knuckle you are gonna keep. The things that won't go to the subframe, your toe lockout, your camber lockout. But for the like traction arm, which is here, you're gonna wanna keep both sets of hardware, assuming they come out okay. Pull this out and maybe take some aluminum, cover those holes and make it into like a ramen bowl. Z1 Ramen Shop t-shirt, Z1 Motorsports .com. Oh, not really any better. There we go. Just needed a little bit more leverage. Cool, we'll take this out. And like on the other one, watch your eyes if you're doing this on your back or anything. These spring buckets like to pick up everything from the road. There we go.
Yay, ramen for two.
You don't need this
Why not?
because you don't have springs there anymore. This is weight reduction. Now let's grab the toe arm and we'll make it about the same length and bolt those guys back in. So what you're gonna do, arms are interchangeable. They can be left or right. We're gonna set this guy and try to center it there. And you can see it's just a little short. So we're going to thread this arm and you want to kind of do them in like one end a little way, one end a little way. We've seen some come in where they only adjust one side like this one and push it out to where this one will be really extended out and then this one will be really collapsed in. You want as much thread in the arm as possible. We give you a lot of adjustment, but the more you have in, the safer it is. Obviously, you don't want more thread exposed than you need to. Yeah, it looks about right. Tighten that guy down all by hand, and then once we get it in the air, we'll tighten down these jams. That's one, and then we'll do this one the same. They're gonna come zip tied like that because these conical spacers are removable. It's not one piece, right? So just know when you take the zip tie out, this could fall apart. What I'm gonna do is just remove these conicals for now. That way they're not bouncing around on the ground. And we'll take the fork and then we're gonna put it on. And for the hardware, we're gonna run it in the same orientation that it was in, which is bolt goes towards the front of the car and the nut will go on the inside. Tighten that guy down just till it's a little snug so we can swing that around. Let's actually do the other side. That way I can show you guys the eccentric lockout kit on both sides at the same time. I like to slide the nut back onto the end of the bolt. That way it makes it harder to lose. Ooh, that's nice. Isn't it a great feeling when you can just spin the nut and it just like kind of like rides down the thread? Alrighty, so eccentric lockout kit comes with 2 bolts, 2 nuts, and 4 of the lockout plates. And now the holes on these lockout plates are not centered. So there's a few orientations you can do, and I'm gonna show you, see what I mean, how the hole's not centered. It's kind of offset, hence offset eccentric lockout kit. So what was instructed to me, because this is my first time doing this one, if you're looking at subframe, right? So we're looking at the back of the subframe. technician, Kyle, has suggested putting it in this orientation. And what this is gonna do is take this hole and it's gonna push it towards the outside of the subframe. And the reason for that, he said, again, like kind of what I mentioned earlier, you want as much thread engagement into the arm as possible. That way it's not coming out, putting stress on that less thread, right? You obviously want more thread. So this puts the arm just a tad shorter and gives you that more thread engagement. And you want a plate on the either side of the subframe. So I'll position this one in the exact same. You can see here, kind of same orientation on the back, and we'll do it on the front, and it'll kind of sit in a little groove just like that. And we'll be good. And then for the other side, we'll actually flip it 180 degrees, and then they'll go on like that.
Put the arm one upside down.
I'll punch you. Look at his stud. I'm worried about dropping the subframe.
What'd you call me?
Look at this stud.
Okay, what do you want me to look at?
I'm worried about dropping the subframe.
What's the matter with it?
You think that's fine? You just
Only
look,
one way to find out, huh?
yeah, it just looks super
It ain't
crusty.
your car. I've been more worried about these.
Yeah, I could be worried about these too, and the rest of that, everything that's connected to.
I've been worried about this.
Maybe in some of this. Look at this. Look at this rust over here. Like the whole car is rust colored.
I've been worried about this.
This? Dave, you blew your car. I hate you so much. And he still had his spring dampers up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Wow, that's impressive.
Kyle, do you know what size these jam nuts are?
They're yay big.
Cow plates. You're going to take the offset hole and you're going to put it towards the outside of the subframe, just like that. Just going to set that there. And then you're going to kind of have to hold this up and wiggle it all at the same time. So put the bolt in, slide that up, and then now kind of position the arm just like that. Boom. We'll do the same thing the other side. Again, offset hole towards the outside of the subframe. Just like that. Boom. Grab your offsets for the other side. And then center those up just like that. Just like that. Cool. Now we did change hardware specs, so the nuts are still 18, just like factory, the bolt on the other side, and then the bolt itself jumped up to a 19. So I'll grab an 18 mil wrench, 19 mil socket on our torque wrench, and torque it to 54 foot-pounds. Boom. And that's your rear toe arm install with the tie brace. Cool. Now let's jump into the camber arms. Camber arms. Got 17 on both sides at the knuckle. Sometimes you gotta improvise. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little rusty up in there.
John, they don't call it arm brace for nothing.
Oh, that's funny, because I'm gonna be sore. Now on the inside of the subframe, 19 there, 17 there. And then this is the other piece of the eccentric lockout kit we're gonna do, so there it are. So like I said, I've never done this arm. If you look here, camber arm, bolt, contacts, sway bar. That's no good. So 214s here, and then it'll be the same thing right here, 214s, and then we can just let this sway bar kind of dangle and pull that bolt out, easy peasy. And yeah, let me grab a 14 and we'll knock that out. like a kitty cat. Nope, not like a kitty cat. Look at that. Boom. Warehouse. Woo!
Cat-like.
And boom. Now we can grab our camber arms and make them eyeball it to the same length as the OE. So just like before, we're gonna line up the arm, and you can see we got a good kind of ways to go as far as getting this thing pushed back out. So what I'm actually gonna do is let's take this, push it in through here. That way I can extend both of these guys at the same way. That way I don't have to kind of do one side then the other and possibly get it wrong. Then I can just slide this guy on and look at it that way. Oh, there we go. Looks about the same length. Take the other one. Do the same thing. There we go. This race end is a little sideways, but that looks pretty much the same length. So now when we removed the factory hardware, it was really tight. You guys saw I had to use a breaker bar to really get that thing off. It was really getting hot, didn't feel comfortable the whole way out. We do sell the replacement hardware if you need any of it. If you know your car is kind of rusty, it's going to be hard to work on, would definitely recommend ordering these at the same time. Thread the nut on just to get it started. And grab our second eccentric lockout kit. Yikes. So 1 bolt, 1 nut, 2 plates. And we're gonna go with the same concept that we did on the toe arms. So plate kind of pointed with the hole offset towards the outside of the subframe. And then there's no brace here, so you can just run the bolt through the plate like that and into the arm. Wiggle that guy right where you need him to be. Take the bolt and the plate. So we'll collapse this arm in just a little bit until that bracket sits flush just like that. Boom. The plate on the other side, just like that. And throw the nut on. Other one on, and we'll do the same thing like we did here, and then we'll tighten both inners and outers, torque all those to spec, lock down these jam nuts, then it's alignment time. Side this using new hardware. And as far as nut and bolt like orientation on this, it's your personal preference. These aren't like adjustment points anymore like it was there, and this is going to be locked out because your rod is obviously, or your arm is your new adjustment point. So bolt this way, nut that way, it doesn't matter. Get our mallet again. Hold towards the outside, push that in, and then you can see I have it pushed out a little too far this way. So we'll collapse. Yeah, it's collapsing, right? Yeah. May have to get a little bit of encouragement this way because as I'm tightening this rod, it's going to pull this in a little bit. So I just may need to kind of dial that in. The front side of the subframe, slide lockout plate there. Sits perfectly flush. And spin that guy on. And this is the same spec as the lockout on toe side. So 19 mil bolt, 18 mil nut. So where the camber arm connects to the subframe here and here, this is going to be 53 foot-pounds. Cool. All right, so sway bar going back on. Sway bar bracket, full report. Sway bar is back on, and now we can lower the car. So at these knuckles on the outer ends of your rods are your new arms, bonded rubber bushings that are a part of the knuckle, right? They're pressed in. If we were to torque them down to spec now, they're at full droop. So when the car levels out and the wheels tuck into the fenders, it's gonna put a lot of stress on those rubber bushings. And it's bad because then obviously it's gonna wear faster, it'll eat it up. So what's ideal is really you would do this on an alignment rack. Obviously we're not gonna do that because you guys aren't gonna do that in your garage. So what we're gonna do is lower the car, and then we're gonna take just a floor jack and push the whole knuckle up into the fender a little bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just eyeball it to where ride height should be. Just kind of center the wheel out to where it looks like it will be on the ground. And then from behind, we'll go and torque the camber and the tow arms to spec. So now I'll grab our floor jack here. So I'm gonna use the block of wood, that way it'll hit the knuckle and I can still access that socket. Just like that. And then I'm just gonna compress this up a little bit, pretty much flush, stick out, and that does make a difference on that bonded washer. All right, so camber arm is 65 foot-pounds. I'm gonna switch this out and we'll go to 53, almost 53 for the tow arm. Boom. And repeat for the other side. Put it in the air, do one more final check before we throw the wheels on, and we'll be all set. We got our tow arms in, we got our camber arms in. Insides have been torqued, outsides have been torqued on the ground. Jam nuts are tight, at least good enough to get us over to the alignment rack. We got the tie brace back on. I think we're good to go. So at this point, all you got left to do is take it to the alignment shop. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and be sure to leave a comment on which install videos you guys would like to see us do next.